Whoa, it looks like you're a matador.
Mm-hmm.
Total non sequitur. But I did see Gladiator 2.
What do you think?
I thought Gladiator 2 was, I would just describe it's like the Universal Studio Ride version of Gladiator 1.
Yes.
It's like, the best thing about Gladiator 2 was this rhinoceros in this scene in the open fighting scenes, you know, and a baboon. See, both of them CGI, and they were the best performances in the film. It's not that it was bad, it was just one of those films that was unnecessary. Nothing new happened. It was the Universal Studio rides. Come to the Gladiator ride. That's what it was.
That's beautiful.
That's all
I think
it
the
was.
rhinoceros is almost like a jumping the shark move. Like, do you remember the rhinoceroses coming out in 300? Like, what the
Yes.
hell? This is...
Yeah. See, I don't know. I think I'm a fan of a good rhino scene every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty unusual, you know. You don't get them every day. Think about it.
You don't.
Not since the African Queen with like you know.
To be
John
fair, you don't
Huston.
get a lot of sharks and water skiing scenes anymore.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah,
And
sharks,
so-
I think, played themselves out. I mean, we got sharks for 37 years. And I think at one point someone said, we need a new threatening beast. How about a rhino? How about a baboon?
Do you know what happened? It's your football. Left shark. Left shark happened, and then sharks were no longer popular, right? One shark was out of sync during a Super Bowl halftime, and it ruined it for sharks all around,
That
right?
was it. Sharknado.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Sharknado might have been jumping the
I
shark.
think Sharknado led to Left Shark. Like, Sharknado was the terrifying counter reaction, as it were, you know, the thesis, antithesis to
Yeah.
you know, that middle path, the synthesis of both.
Sean Finnegan and Disco Barilli.
Two stagehands and a microphone.
1, 2, 3. 2 stagehands.
And a microphone.
I like that. I like the subtleness of
It's a
1, 2.
little handoff.
Yeah, exactly. It's a handshake.
This is a Christmas episode. I don't know if you can see the tree. There's a tree. We got a monkey off the top for absolutely no reason. But Oric was a little lonely around the holidays, so we got him a tree.
Indeed. I am Disco Brillig.
Sean Finnegan.
And
Author of the book NorCal. Check it out. There's a link down there. Check it out if you like audiobooks. The Christmas season's here. People love audiobooks. Or hard copy things for the stocking.
perfect stocking stuffer, you know. I can't get that out tonight. The perfect stocking
funny.
stuffer.
Christmas special. I've been listening to the Charlie Brown Christmas albums that I start in Thanksgiving. There's actually one for Halloween, but I really start on the Thanksgiving album, which is highly underrated. I think I talked about this before, and now I'm heavily into the December Charlie Brown Christmas jazz albums, which were by San Francisco's very own Vince Guaraldi, one of my favorite jazz artists. You know, when you come over, I'm starting to play a little bit of jazz for you because I love jazz too, and nothing makes the season happen for me like those albums. Like, I don't play them all year, and as soon as December 1st comes, tree goes up, Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas happens.
I know what behavioralism is. I know you're slowly out, getting me used to, milder jazz at first. Sure,
Yeah.
it has a regular beat. It has a normal pattern. You could dance to this stuff. And
Almost.
then next, a year down the line, it's some sort of incomprehensible acid jazz that only the
Yeah,
best
we're going
beat
Ornette.
makes.
We'll
Yeah,
do
exactly.
Ornette Coleman and some free jazz, and you just be like driving down the road with all the windows open, hair flying back.
It is a slippery slope.
It is. Jazz will get you, man. Jazz is the best. I didn't want it to get me, but it got me. I heard it my whole life in the background, and when I was 18, I remember putting on my mom's Miles Davis album, Kind of Blue. She was gone for the weekend. I put it on my own accord, and that's when I just became a jazz addict on that day. I love rock and roll. I like old country. I like my era of hip-hop. I love hard rock, metal, classic rock, anything folk rock, reggae. But I gotta have some jazz, buddy.
And getting back to Charlie Brown, and I'm not sure if you've had a chance to listen to it, George Winston, who is one of my favorite
Fantastic.
pianists,
My buddy Hymick, Matt Dallahy, what's up? Turned me on to George Winston.
has an album of peanut tunes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were going to talk about he has this album called Winter.
No, I mean, that is also a fantastic album, but
yeah.
you were talking about the peanut tunes.
I didn't know he did it too.
Yes, and so if you
I'm
want
looking
those
that up.
jazz albums by George Winston,
Thank you.
If you haven't, that is, I have it on CD.
I'll
it's
pull
beautiful.
it on
yeah,
iTunes
it's great.
tonight.
Yeah,
I didn't even
absolutely.
know he did that.
He did a Peanuts album.
Wow.
Along with,
All-
he's just phenomenal pianist.
Yeah, he's
like one
great.
of my favorites since childhood. It was just, it's like one of his music, like Winter into Spring or Forest, is something I could turn on and go to sleep
fantastic.
with. It is just phenomenal how much he's able to get the piano to resonate with nature, to have those raindrops just appear aurally
So true.
from the percussion that he plays.
Yeah.
And it's so, the patterns are so intricate, and they're
Very
there's
emotional.
yeah, exactly.
It feels like the season, and you can't put your finger on why. He just feels the seasons through the music. And I remember I turned my buddy on to Pat Metheny Group, another jazz champion. Got more Grammys in different categories than anyone. Pat Metheny Group, and he busted out the George Winston Winter on me, and we exchanged CDs when there was no streaming. You just had to have the CD or the album or the cassette.
There's a reason I own 800 CDs.
Oh my gosh, that's cool, man. You know what happened? I had 300, and in a move, something shifted when I was driving from LA to Portland. I felt it, and when I came out, all the CD rack had fallen over, and all of them were open, and they'd been sliding around on the back. They were just ruined. My brother-in-law, who has a very vast taste in music, he just a couple days ago shot me some Vivaldi, The Four Seasons, and it was
one of my dad's favorites.
It was a different rendition that my sister had found for him recently, not the one I grew up with, a different orchestra. But man, I've probably listened to that whole thing probably 5 times in the last week, and I was like, this is trippy. Disco brought over the classical, then Josh added. I don't think he's ever sent me classical music right after you left last time, and I've been listening to it all week. How was your week?
Busy. Well, kind of. Sorry.
Grab some tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Loosen up the
Yes,
throat. I don't know if anyone notices. We're trying to change our lighting a little bit.
Yes. Big fluorescent box light is very
Yeah, we're going for a little more clarity.
We're going to have to get a couple more of those LEDs in the
It's
back
going to be a whole
to
process,
just balance
folks.
out the fact
We
that
are just
now,
focused on having fun conversation and making the technical secondary, but we're getting a little better each time.
Although as stagehands, it's kind of like an obligation to push it as far
I
as
guess
you
so.
can, right?
I guess
Like,
so,
you know,
right. Well, we certainly have lights and props, my
There's
friend.
just always there's a certain amount of tinkering that goes along.
You know what
with the
really
jobs.
represents stagehands to me?
That?
Auric.
Auric right here. Yeah, he's beautiful.
I like the lights inside his eyes. I didn't really notice those.
Yeah, there's a J box.
You
But
use-
yeah, it was originally an idea from that, I think we talked about it, Bag and Baggage.
Yeah.
Working with them and having that disco Shakespeare thing and the Hamlet show right after
Oh,
that.
that's pretty
and then
great.
just being inspired by
Disco
disco
Shakespeare
and
is
Shakespeare.
exactly what
yeah.
Auric is. And what I like is ours, he just looks over you. He doesn't have a lot to say, but I feel like he is saying something. You know, I'm not sure what it is at times, but you have to kind of focus on Auric for a while and you'll hear it.
Yeah. As I was told growing up, it is better to remain silent and be presumed the fool than to open your mouth and remove all the doubt.
Ooh, good one. Man.
And so I'm starting a podcast where I'm doing the exact opposite of what I was told.
Gotcha.
Right?
Well, that's the
exactly.
whole point. What shows you work?
Cyndi Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper where?
Moda Center.
Moda
And
Center,
so I did Moda Center, Cyndi Lauper. I gotta watch a bunch, like the last half of Cyndi Lauper from behind the stage. And so, like, waiting to set up for the video wall. So I was watching, like, kind of a reverse of the whole thing. And for some reason, I think I saw a bunch from the front earlier or something like that, or went around.
Did she
at some
sing
point.
True Colors?
Yeah, absolutely. That
Dude,
was
I
on
love
there.
that song, man.
Yeah, it was great. They had
True
so many.
Colors.
She had like a large ensemble cast, like
Oh, I
12
love that.
people.
Oh, that's cool.
Lots of coordinated costume changes.
Oh yeah,
It
that's
looked
always
really
been
good.
her
And
her
you know,
thing. Though.
the keyboardist, the drummer, they just looked like they were having a good time. They were
Yeah.
all just
I
like,
bet somehow I saw her documentary, and I bet you she's cool to work for.
yeah, it seemed like that. Like, and you know, it looked like it was fun. right? And it looked like they were having fun, and I think that's really important for the show. Before that, it was Trans Siberian Orchestra. I did the out on.
The annual Trans Siberian Orchestra.
That is amazing. So my dad bought me tickets, and so I was in the 11th row, and I'll show you pictures because I snapped a few of them.
Cool.
But one of the things I forgot, because I set up for them a couple of years ago.
So did I. I think I worked like 3 or 4 of those.
Do you remember that they have these platforms that are hydraulic that extend out and
yeah.
go over the audience? And so I got to see those in action go over my head.
Did you get some pictures?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool,
and that
cool.
it was great.
Insert pictures.
Yeah, insert pictures here from my ticket bearing
With voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. This is And
so hold on, did you go solo or did you take your kids or?
So my dad had an extra ticket, so I took a friend of mine, Carla, with us, and then he had one of his pinnacle friends who came with it.
Cool.
So
How did Carla like the show?
Great, I think. It
was her first time?
Yeah, exactly. She did not realize what Trans Siberian Orchestra was, so she was in a bit of a shock because I told her I was taking her to the orchestra, according to her, when I clearly said Trans Siberian, not having any context that it is a rock and roll show with some Christmas added in.
That's right.
And so that... it was beautiful. So I saw this thing, and one of the neatest things was they had this giant castle in the back of the stage that was a projection screen.
Wow.
But they had LED windows behind that. So they had LED walls to give it some depth, but they had 8 of those huge-ass Barco projectors at this really steep right angle. And I'm like, how did they build that? It looks impressive. They did some amazing visual effects. I have to say that their projectionist team was just phenomenal. I loved all the movement and the wonkiness they could get there. But one of the reasons I wanted to do the out is because they usually give out t-shirts, and I wanted to give my dad the t-shirt from the tour.
Did you get that for him?
Yeah, exactly. So I gave it to him the next time I saw him.
That's
and so that was
cool.
just a...
Was he an XL or double XL?
I think it was... I'm not sure, but I gave him the largest one. I think they were all
Judas Priest double XL, and there was a point where I've got so many XLs, and I think I'm going to sell them online because they just don't... They're just all, after you wash them 4 or 5 times. But double XLs fit me perfect, and I can wash them a few times, and they just don't hike up.
I don't know, you're slimming down. You might want to hold off for like a year or two before that. They might fit better,
That's a really good point.
Right?
Good problem to have.
You're kind of...
Hey, remind me, what's the name of the guy who the Trans Siberian Orchestra is his baby?
There's 2 of them.
Okay,
There's one that passed away. I forget what his name is.
Because I think, do you remember me telling you that that I think either one of the guys or both the guys had a metal band that never made it huge in the 80s, but they were around.
Yeah.
They weren't major. They're called Savatage with a V. Savatage. And I want to look some of their stuff up and just see if it's both of them. But I just heard this in passing from some older stagehands that, this is the guy of the band Savatage, and then he did this, and I guess he just tours at Christmas all over the country and makes a mint from a production that people see annually.
It's a fun little show. There's a ton of pyrotechnics, and so it's neat to be able to... There were 2 shows at the Moda Center, so I had tickets to the matinee, and since there was a second show, it was easy to just go home and then come back and do the out.
You're still kind of fresh. You have to come around
so
the show.
The show's fresh in my mind, and
Yeah.
so I'm tearing things down, and that's what they did. So the big castle was a giant inflatable.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was like this cool little 2-foot wide inflatable, almost like a bouncy castle that is a projection screen. And so I couldn't even...
And that was at the Moda Center as well.
That was in this Trans Siberian show, and so there was that was their backdrop, and it was phenomenal. They had a great ensemble cast, and it was just a really polished show. The effects really reminded me of what somebody from an 80s like if you took a high school kid in the 80s and said, what do you want in a rock show? That is exactly what Trans Siberian Orchestra caters to, right? It's that big rock and roll 80s kind of look, effects, fire, and stuff like that.
A little over the top.
It's definitely showmanship over the top, right?
Great.
And so... But
it's almost like WWF or WWE.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lasers, there's a lot of fire, but it's just a lot of that looks really cool shoved onto a stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you loaded in the show, saw the show, and then loaded out the show.
I just really love their fixtures, too.
Yeah.
They had some, like, really neat little things. Although, I also did Billie Eilish, which was, you know, one of my favorite shows to do this last week.
Okay, now, do you know Billie Eilish's music pretty well?
Yeah, we used to play video games and listen to it. So
okay, so how long has she been around? I just know her name. I don't know any of her music.
2 or 3 years, I think. Very much kind of has that Nine Inch Nails kind of, you know, How to Destroy Angels kind of sound with like break beats, and it just it's a very unique thing, and it time and place for everything, and I really resonated with some of the darker elements and themes to the music. Okay, like it really takes on like depression and, you know, anxiety and this, you know, losing people.
How was the load in, load out?
It was great. I was on the automation team, it was, they broke
Automation's
up.
Usually pretty chill.
Yeah, it would have been a lot harder had they not broken up the thing last minute. So apparently, because of our new contract or whatnot, we were too expensive to have a 4 a.m. call, because anything before 8 a.m. is like double time. So they
4 hours of double time.
That would have been sweet, and I was signed up for it. But instead, they made us come in at the previous day at 10 o'clock the earlier day. And
so what they do, just half their set?
Yeah, exactly. So we got 156 points in the air, which comes out to 196,000 pounds of rigging that was flying. She was on a flying LED wall panel that she was able to ride around and jump on. Full round arena, so, you know, all the way around. And so there were 2 main tracks that this LED thing could go back and forth of, and then there was an automated effect where, like, she jumped out of a spring kind of thing and, you know, through the air and that kind of stuff. She had some, like, ballet training and things like that, so there's just some neat little stuff to that. And so
I think it was 2018. I loaded in Metallica at the Moda Center, went home for a couple hours, came back, I think after their first or second song, and they were playing in the round, and the whole place was packed. You know, it's not exactly sanctioned for us to watch all the shows of all positions, but, like, you find a way.
Nature does find a way.
Yeah, sometimes no one really cares. Mm-hmm. And I remember what I did.
Sometimes they care very much.
Sometimes
and
they care a lot. Oh yeah, sometimes they get all gnarly. But what I did was there's just 2 gals in yellow security jackets through the main VOM. Mm-hmm. So what I did was, when I came back, I took my Moda Center pass, and I had a 49ers lanyard because Metallica's from San Francisco. I wore a 49ers hat, and I had like a brown fleece on, so I didn't look stage-handy at all. Mm-hmm. And I just walked in the VOM, just threw the curtains aside, marched in, and one of the 2 gals was like, "Hey, I need to see your pass." And I just flashed that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they were in the round, so it was all open floor. Mm-hmm. The whole place was packed, except for the north side of their stage. Mm-hmm. And there was like 18 people on that side. It was very strange. Packed bodies. Every seat in the house sold out, except for this. It was just kind of people, late stragglers to the show, I guess, because I went right to the front. Kirk Hammett was right in front of me. Pinky was there with his lady, and we were just loving it. It's strange loading in a show, seeing the show, and then loading the show out. Because by the time Metallica finished, you know, show was over, it was time to load out. So I had to go from, like, spectator, and then, like, throw on my hard hat and just jump to it. And it was a weird transition because after the show, I was spent, as someone who's screaming their head off for 2.5 hours would be. Oh yeah,
there's a big emotional, like, vulnerability to doing that, right?
It's a big emotional, like, it just drains you a little bit from the emotion. So to get psyched up for
all that adrenaline,
and there was like 36 trucks. I remember we went to like 2:30 in the morning on Metallica. It was they had their shit together, but they had a lot of shit, so it was like not a quick loadout. What shows you got coming up?
I have nothing coming up. I mean, I might tear out.
Oh yeah, there's nothing at the Moda Center for the rest of the year. I saw that.
No, yeah, they're done for the year pretty much.
That sucks.
I did do John Legend recently. That was
definitely didn't do John Lennon show.
Legend, yeah, John Lennon, yeah, John Lennon.
The legend of John Lennon.
Yeah, it was a holographic undead tour. I'm not sure what about it. Some sort of squeezing the last they can of the apple
all
property.
avant-garde. Yoko Ono soundtrack.
Yes, absolutely.
John Legend, do you know his music? Do you care for his music?
I don't know anything about it, honestly.
I know he's a good singer. I just...
right, there's...
I don't think I resonate with... It sounds awful to say, because I'd love to be proven wrong. I don't listen to a lot of modern R&B. And I love R&B from other decades. Mm-hmm. But I've tried Usher a couple times, and I just found it was a little too slick for me.
So, the saying, I think, is that, the more trucks, the less talented of the band.
Yeah,
that
doesn't always... That's not always...
This guy pulled out a
140
truck and a half kind of thing. 3 trucks.
It was 3 trucks?
And...
Where was it at?
Moda Center. Full on... Not Theater in the Clouds Moda Center. Full on Motor Center. Him and a piano and filling the house and everyone's having a good time.
Wow. So he just had house stage.
Yeah, house stage. Brought in some local
Simple
stuff.
truss arrangement.
Yeah. 3 sticks of lighting or something.
Did he have
like
a band on stage, or is it?
Band and backups and stuff like that.
What was the background?
Freaking
No video,
backup,
no video
nothing
screen?
like black. It was
just the curtain.
I think there might have been like a LED
you
wall.
know what? I kind of dig that, man.
There was like a small LED wall, right? Like just to re-emphasize, right?
Here he is.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly, right?
Here's a close-up of John.
But it was like a half a truck of LED wall, and the guy killed it. And it's just...
I'm gonna have to re-look at John Legend.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking that he's got the talent, because the truck to just nailing it at a full Coliseum, going, here's my piano and my voice, I'm entertaining you, and you're enraptured by a couple of sticks of light and an LED wall. I mean, that's nothing compared to the rock shows
That's
we
so
set up.
cool. You said the place was sold out.
Yeah, it's just like packed, right? Like, I mean,
I think did a similar thing last year. Did you work that Eagles show?
Yeah.
Weren't they kind
7 trucks and just nailed it.
Stripped down.
Oh my god, though.
I was stoked on that.
So much more backline though on the Eagles stuff. That I gotta move that drum set. It was.
You did backline for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Huh? I remember I was told by someone, I can't remember who it was, not to look him in the eyes, and I was right side stage, and Joe Walsh, I think it was, just walked right by me, and I was just like, whoa. I think it was Joe Walsh. I don't know, but what I liked about
I'm not sure if I saw any of them, but I did see their drum tech quite a lot.
I do a lot of
stuff.
Yeah, I like the band. I make it happen to watch some of the show. I just do, man.
And I like it when they interact with the audience. I mean, it's just a thing.
So you have nothing set up from here till Christmas?
No, I don't. I'm sure something will come in. Just did an ad, a late minute ad at the Schnitzer today, so there'll probably be an ad on that on Sunday.
Show, it'll be the Keller. Or
exactly.
Like
But it gives us more chance to do this and spend time with children and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
totally.
I still have.
I'll be
this
glad I was
3 more to video edit in my backlog of shame, plus a bunch of shorts. But I'm not going to call myself out like that.
No, I'll call you. Get it done.
Exactly.
Get that editing done. Damn it.
Yeah.
There's a great book about an unnamed river in Oregon called the River Why, W-H-Y. And it's about a guy who's born the son of a fly fishing father and a conventional fishing mother.
Wow.
And when he wrote this book, he moved to live on the river by himself as like a 16-year-old. I think he was 16. Maybe he was 18.
Yeah.
Really, in his teens. And he just moved up to this river and made like bait and started selling bait. And he just got to fish all day. That's all he wanted to do for years. And he wrote a book about it. And it's funny because I both conventional fish and I fly fish. If I'm going by the river mouth, right up against the ocean, not to say you won't get them on flies, but you're going to get a lot more action on fish with bait and lures of one kind or another. But when I go fly fish this particular river with my brother-in-law in southern Washington, I prefer fly fishing for trout. I mean, every trout feels like a monster. I've never written a story that doesn't have a fishing scene in it. You told me once your dad was a fisherman, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you did a little bit of fishing with him, right?
Yeah, off and on. I mean,
I did not do enough fishing this year at all. I did 1 day of fishing this year.
Wow.
It's probably my lowest since probably my first year when I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't fish. But
it's been a weird year.
It's been a weird year. I've dealt with some illness. I've dealt with some things I had dealt with in a while. It's no big deal. But I'm kind of looking forward to the slowdown of the holidays more than the, I love spending time with my family. One of my nieces is coming back from U of O for Christmas.
Oh, sweet.
They're going to pick her up tomorrow. And then the other one's flying in from Ireland, from Trinity College to come back for a month for Christmas. And when my nieces are there, it just kind of feels good,
Mm-hmm.
Is it still going?
It just stopped 2 seconds ago.
Perfect.
So
That's what we're
just
into.
yeah. Oh.
Or you just restarted it?
I just restarted it just like that. Yeah, everything else is going. We saw.
Hey, we
this
can
one,
chunk,
this one.
you can chunk any of this out and decide we're ending. But
Yeah.
here's what I was going to say is I only fished one day this year and I felt bad about it. I was going to go fishing on the 17th. Now I've got another appointment on the 17th. Can't do it. And I just kind of had a laugh of it. But when you pulled out this quote, I was reminded of a quote the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, fishing is the pursuit of what is elusive yet attainable, a perpetual series of occasions for hope.
Two stagehands and a microphone with Sean Finnegan and Disco Brilling with music produced by Mike Favero.
Don't think the world owes you something.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's like crushing your dreams with every cast.
No, it's the hope. It's acknowledging that you might have thousands of tries towards anything you want in life, man. But that hope keeps you going because you maybe caught that fish for
Keeps you hooked, is what you're saying.
Oh, that's where we end.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I told you look
yeah.
like John Taylor from Duran Duran right now.
Oh yes.
His name is Rio, and he dances,
Yeah.
and he discos in the sand.
I'm hungry like the wolf. Yes,
Whoa,
exactly.
I'm starving actually. Let's eat something.
All right, let's go eat. All right. Two stagehands and a microphone wishing you whatever holiday thing you want to have, Christmas things. Or...
I like it. We just call it two stagehands and a microphone. At some point, it might be three stagehands and three microphones like we got going now. But
Yes.
it just really works as conceptually as.
I'm gonna cut that out.